Hello. Today we are going to be working on learning the difference between an independent variable and a dependent variable. To begin, we're going to start with some vocabulary. With the vocabulary, the important thing to understand, and I'm going to change the wording just a little bit. A dependent variable, it changes in response to the variable, and an independent variable changes the dependent variable to change or causes it to change. In reality, the easy way to remember it is an independent variable is what you change. What that means is if I'm selling tickets to an event, if I sell 5 tickets, am I going to make more money than if I sell 50 tickets? Yeah, I'm definitely going to make money. That's what I change. I change how many tickets I sell. So if I'm not advertising, am I going to sell very many tickets? Probably not. The dependent variable that is what changes because you changed something. So the dependent variable depends on what happens with the first one. So let's go to our next slide. This is an example right here. If I have the question, what does it mean for one quantity to depend on the other? So if an orchard sells apples by the pound, each day the number of pounds of apples sold and the amount of money taken in is recorded. So what changes every day? Yeah, the money does change, but the money only changes because of how many apples you sell. If I sell 20 bushels of apples, I'm making less money than if I sell 80 bushels of apples. Or if I sell 1 bushel compared to 20, with 20, I'm definitely going to be making more money. And so, how many pounds sold affects how much money. And so because the amount of pounds sold is the biggest determiner, that is my independent variable. Another example, number 2, the height of a plant and the amount of water it receives. If you're like me and I'm not very good at growing plants and I forget to water my plants, are they going to get as big and tall as my daughter's plants when my daughter's really good at watering her plants? No, my daughter's plants are definitely going to be much prettier and much taller than my plants because I forget to water them. And so how much you water the plant is the independent variable. But because you forget to water them, because I forget to water the plants, they don't get as tall as the ones that Turin does because she remembers to water her plants. So the height really does depend on how much you water your plants. So let's go through our reteaching page. With this one right here, just a minute. Okay, with this one right here, perfect example, the number of hours studying and the score on your test. If I don't study for a test and I don't know the material very well, I'm not going to do very well. But if I spend a little bit of time studying, I'm usually going to do much better on my test than if I don't. So the hours is my independent variable, and the score is my dependent variable. I'm not just going to pass the test if I don't spend time studying and practicing. Just like I've told you guys, if you don't do your homework, you're going to have a harder time getting an A in class because you're not having that time to practice the skills that I'm teaching you. Let's look at number 2, the length of a pencil and the number of times it has been sharpened. If I have a pencil and I go sharpen it every 10 minutes, or if I go sharpen it every morning, my pencil is not going to be as long after 10 days as it was the day I got my pencil. And so the amount of times I sharpen a pencil really does affect how long it is. So the times is my independent variable. And then the length is my dependent variable. Let's look at number 3. The length of pages in a book and the number of words in a story. If I have a Harry Potter book and I have a Junie B. Jones book, Which book has more words? Of course, my Junie B. Jones book. And so the amount of words does affect how many pages your book has. So pages would be the dependent variable, and the words would be the independent variable. Let's look at number 4, the number of students ahead of you in the lunch line and the time it takes to get to lunch. This is a perfect example because I know most classes really want to be the first class to lunch, not the last class to lunch. Why? Because if you're the first class to lunch, you're going to get through that lunch line a lot faster than the people at the back of the line. And if you're the last class to lunch, you don't have as much choice. Some days they have strawberries, and the strawberries go to the first people in line, and the people at the back of the line don't get those. And so the number of students would be my independent variable, and the amount of time it takes would be my dependent variable, because if I'm farther back in the line, I'm not going to have as good of selection, and I'm definitely not getting my lunch as quickly as if I were at the front of the line. Let's look at number 5, the amount of time to finish a race and the number of laps around a track. This one right here, if I run 1 lap around the track, am I going to get around the track faster than if I run 2 or 3? Yeah, I definitely will. So the number of laps is what I'm changing. If I choose one day I'm going to run 1 lap, and the next day I decide I'm going to run 4, and the next day I decide to run 1, which workout's going to be longer? My longer than I'm running 4 laps. And so the time depends on how many laps I decide to do. So my number of laps is my independent variable because I'm the one making that choice. I'm the one who decides I'm going to run 1 lap or I'm going to run 10 laps. So let's look at this next one. Tickets sold for a race and the amount of money collected. This one right here is like that one I told you at the beginning. If I sell 5 tickets to an event, I'm not going to make as much money as if I sold 50 tickets or 25 or 30. And so the amount of tickets really does make the biggest difference. Because if I sell tickets for $20 and I sell 5 tickets, I'm making $100. If I sell 20 tickets, I'm making $400. That's a big difference. So the amount of money would be my dependent variable. Let's look at number 7. The height of a fence and the amount of wood to make the fence. This one right here, if I'm not using as much wood, my fence is not going to be as tall. So the wood really does make a big difference. So the wood would be the independent variable, and the height of the fence will be the dependent variable. If I buy wood, and wood is kind of pricey, but if I buy 8-foot pieces of wood and I cut each of them in half, and I use each half, I'm using 4-foot pieces of wood, and I'm making my fence 4 foot tall. If I decide to use 8-foot pieces of wood, my fence is going to be a whole lot taller. And so that's a perfect example. Now let's look at number 8. Number 8 says the height of the fence. I don't know why it's doing that. Just a minute. There we go. Okay. The height of the fence and the time it takes to climb the fence. This is kind of easy because if I don't have to climb a fence, I'm going to get over it a lot faster. I'm just kind of going to step over it. But if I have to climb a fence, if it's a shorter fence, I'm going to get over it a lot quicker than if it's a taller fence. And there's no way I'm getting through over a really tall fence. And so the height would be my independent variable. And then what changes? How long it takes me. So the time is my dependent variable. Okay, let's go to our word problem. Right here. So it says write your own solution where speed is an independent variable. Well, let me think about this. If I say the time it takes me to walk to school, if I am walking with my best friend, if I'm walking with Gwen, like Gwen and I like to walk for a workout. And so we're going to walk a lot faster than if I am walking with, say, my friend Shelly, who we just kind of would go for a walk just to kill time and talk. And so I'm going to do that one. The amount of time, just a minute. Nope, it doesn't have a thing. So the amount of time it takes me to walk and the speed that I walk. The time, just a minute. The time that it takes me to walk really is the dependent variable. And then the speed that I walk. If I walk faster, or if I ride a bike, or I ride a scooter, that does make a big difference in how long it would take me to get to school each day. And so, there we go. Good luck on your homework, and I'll see you in class.